What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Legitical Response. We cover political news. We keep you up to date and keep you informed with everything that the government does. Now, I bet you thought I'm going to start talking about Bob Costello getting on the stand, which I hoped he would, and he sure did, and Juan Merchan actually absolutely having a breakdown and making everybody get out of the freaking court and shutting everything down and totally excoriating Bob Costello for trying to tell the truth or at least give his side of the story. But no, I'm not going to talk about that. Oh, I kind of just did, didn't I? But yeah, I kind of wanted to stay away from that today. I guess thumbnails are a thing, so you know that's not what we're talking about. But yeah, what is Biden doing, y'all? This guy, I just don't understand the Biden administration's strategy on this. Why not work toward fixing the country? Why not work toward making America better? Why not work toward good policies, trying to change laws that need to be changed, change your policies, get things done to make the country work better, work smoother, work more efficiently, if you will, close down the border a little bit. We don't need to let, every single 8 to 15 million people that are coming across the southern border are not political asylees. I'm sorry. That's just a statistical impossibility at this point, if you will. But, it's like, why doesn't he do this? Why is he trying to purchase votes by trying to pay off student loan debt? Why is he trying to purchase votes by withholding military aid from Israel to pander to the college students that are protesting, to calm that situation down? Why is Joe Biden trying to go out to black colleges and pander to these black people by telling them, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black? Why is Joe Biden getting out here lying to people on a constant basis, telling all these ridiculous stories that are obvious lies?
My administration is working around the clock to free the remaining hostages, just as we have freed hostages already. And here with us today is Hirsch Goldberg Poland, and it's still, he is not here with us, but he's still being held by Hamas. He calls the insurrectionists who stormed Capitol Hill patriots. Let me ask you, what do you think he would have done on January the 6th if black Americans had stormed the Capitol?
We already have a mayor. We don't need any more big shots.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic.
And when I was vice president, things were kind of bad during the pandemic.
And what happened was, Barack said to me, go to Detroit and help fix it. Well, poor mayor, he spent more time with me than he ever thought he was going to have to. I walked the picket line with union workers here in Michigan. At the same time, Trump went to a non-union stop. Let me ask you, if he's reelected, who do you think he'll put on a Supreme Court? You think he'll put anybody who has a brain?
Why is he doing all this instead of trying to work to make the country better? I have no idea. It makes zero sense to me. And here we go again, y'all. Biden trying to purchase more votes. Check this out. Biden administration releases 1 million barrels of reserve gasoline in effort to lower prices, right? So instead of doing something to make the country better, instead of opening up federal lands, giving leases out, allowing these oil companies to purchase leases from the federal government, allowing these oil companies to drill, baby, drill in the Gulf of Mexico instead of trying to shut the oil and gas industry down to lower prices, make us energy independent so our economy can come back from the pandemic. Why is Biden releasing our strategic oil reserves? For crying out loud? This is for in case of emergencies. Right? Like trying to lower prices, trying to purchase votes to make yourself look better as a president so you'll get elected in November is not what the strategic oil reserve is supposed to be used for. But let's get into it, y'all. The Biden administration is releasing about 1 million barrels of reserve gasoline supplies as part of an effort to bring down prices at the pump in the northeastern U.S., right? So this is only located, right? Like this is localized in the Northeast. This isn't even for the whole country. So it's like, do you even care about the rest of the country, Joe Biden? It sure seems like he doesn't, because he's absolutely not doing anything. He's actively trying to cut off the oil and gas industry from our economy. That is going to implode our economy. I do believe I've stated this several times outright, that it seems like these people are just incompetent and they are fumbling through the dark, if you will, trying to get to a light switch. But they are stumbling over everything along their way, breaking all kinds of different stuff, right? Like, nothing the Biden administration seems to make sense to me. I try to look at everything logically. I try to work out, okay, like, why would they do this? Why would they do this? Why would they do this? And none of it ever seems to make sense, right? Like, except for a couple of small things here and there. Of course, like they say, even a blind squirrel will find a nut every once in a while and get some food in his mouth. Naturally, you're going to win on some things like lowering insulin costs, taking away all those junk fees from banks and credit cards and all that BS. That is a very good thing. How come nobody has ever thought to do that in the past? I wonder why, right? Like, why didn't Trump do this? Maybe because he was worried about the freaking deep state and all these people in his administration actively working against him to stymie his administration, to make his administration look bad. I hear that a lot from people, right? Like, I was watching a debate earlier over Biden and Trump, like, who's the best for the country, and I kept hearing the argument, well, Biden's done way more legislating, right? Like, hang on, you're going after Donald Trump for not being a legislator. Well, guess what? The president is the executive of the executive branch, if you will. He is the CEO of the country. He is not a legislator. That is the executive branch. We have a branch of government that legislates. It's called the legislative branch. That goes to you, Destiny. I know you won't watch this video, but as for that argument that you bring, and I hear you bring it a lot, the president is not a legislator, by the way. Congress is supposed to legislate. The Senate is supposed to legislate. The executive branch, all they are supposed to do is execute the legislation. That's it. I know, I understand they have to sign off on that legislation, and in the past, presidents have done some legislating, have wrote up bills and all this other stuff, but that's only because every single president from Washington to Obama has been a legislator at one point in their life, or a military general, because early on in the country we had a lot of military generals. We had some in the 19th century as well. Not many, I think one or two, but almost all of them, like say 90%, have been legislators. So naturally, that's what they've done for their entire career. So that's what they're going to try to do when they get into office. Trump, however, has been a CEO his entire life, just about. So yeah, I think if he wouldn't have had so many hands behind the scene working against him, we would have seen a very historic administration. However, on the other hand, the Biden administration wants to make you believe that their administration is historic. Karine Jean-Pierre has come outright and said that. In a statement on the announcement, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm said Tuesday described the effort as strategically releasing the reserve in between Memorial Day and July 4th. This is being done to make sure sufficient supply flows to the tri-state and Northeast at a time hardworking Americans need it the most, she said. The Biden-Harris administration is laser-focused on lowering prices at the pump for American families, especially as drivers hit the road for summer driving season, Granholm said. Yeah, to be honest, I can't stand how they always do that, because Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas constantly said, the DHS is laser focused on border security. They constantly say, we're laser focused on this. Well, you know what? A head of a security shouldn't be laser focused on one single thing. And if they are laser focused on something, it should be running their department, not just this one aspect of what their department does. We shouldn't be laser focused on stealing gas from our strategic reserves to lower gas prices to make the president a little bit more popular, which I highly doubt it's going to do, right? Like, if he really wanted to make himself more popular, he would open up the taps and let these companies drill their freaking nuts off. That's what he would do. But instead, he wants to stop all these oil companies from drilling and producing oil cheaply and buy it or steal it. Which, as a matter of fact, you remember the last time Joe Biden done this? They were talking about, the Putin price hike, blaming the high gas prices on Putin, for God's sakes. You remember he took out, what was it, like 15 million barrels of oil? You remember what happened with all that?
They bought a lot of that oil, didn't they?
I have no idea what.
You don't know if China bought a lot of our oil from that Strategic Petroleum Reserve release in 2021?
I don't.
You're the
know
energy secretary.
Our release. Obviously releases happen on a global market.
No, I'm talking about our release. They bought from our release.
It's my understanding that China has purchased a tiny amount, like under 3%, from our Strategic Petroleum Reserve. That was before the ban. They are no longer purchasing.
Okay.
Again, this is all pursuant to what Congress requires us to do as an agency.
Is
There
to
was
do
no
what?
restriction.
There was no directive from Congress for you to release that oil.
No, I'm talking about who we sell to.
Right, but you don't need to talk to a representative from the Chinese Communist Party about our decision to release oil.
Perhaps I'm not making myself clear. I did not talk to a member of the Chinese
tried,
Communist
though.
Party
You tried. You
about
told
our
me-
decision,
you-
about our
okay.
decision to release. It was
Okay.
about encouraging them to release along with all of these other countries so that we
Did they
could
do
make
that?
up the Russian
Did they do that?
barrels that were pulled off the market.
Did they do that?
They said that they did. I don't have evidence that they did.
Yeah, because they have an enormous stockpile now, and ours is at historically low levels. And I want to point out that around 900,000 barrels of oil were sold to Unipec America, a subsidiary of the Chinese government-owned gas company Sinopec, which in turn had received billions of dollars from BHR Partners. Who is BHR Partners? BHR Partners is a private equity firm co-founded by Hunter Biden, who held a 10% stake. Were you aware that Hunter Biden benefited from the sale of our Strategic Petroleum Reserve by an affiliated Chinese company?
No.
Okay. You've not replenished the Strategic Petroleum Reserve since, right?
We are in the process of doing that. Part of that is to repurchase barrels. Part of that at taxpayer, an rate.
It's too expensive
favorable
now.
to
Wasn't that your
taxpayer.
statement?
At the moment, it is above what we wanted to.
Typically, gasoline prices rise in the summer as Americans hit the roads amid warm weather and summer vacations. Gasoline prices are often controlled by cyclical and global factors, while presidents have limited impacts. Nevertheless, the prices are often the subject of political scrutiny, especially in an election year. That's exactly what this video is about. The administration said that the barrels will be sold in 100,000 barrel increments. Most will be sold from the gasoline storage site in Port Reading, New Jersey, while some will come from a site in South Portland, Maine. Gasoline prices are actually down currently from prior weeks, averaging about $3.60 nationwide, according to the American Automobile Institute, or AAA. A week ago, they averaged $3.61, and a month ago, they were at $3.67, AAA said. When it separately released from its strategic petroleum reserves to bring down prices in 2022, the administration received significant Republican backlash as the GOP argued that the barrels should have been saved in case of an emergency. Yes, that's what the strategic petroleum reserve is for. That is for in case we get into a war. After World War II, the political class of this country all came to the decision that we should be able to fight two major wars at the same time. Basically, a war on two different fronts, major wars on two different fronts at the same time. So they created the Strategic Petroleum Reserve to make sure that tanks and trucks and logistical vehicles and all, everything that we would need for a war, we would have. We wouldn't have to buy oil from somewhere. Our oil supplies from buying it abroad could be cut off completely, and we would still be able to win these wars. We would have enough in reserve to do that. And that's why the Republicans got pissed when Joe Biden sold off 15 freaking million barrels of our petroleum reserves. And guess what? They haven't replenished those preserves, and now he's taking more from those strategic reserves. It just blows my freaking mind the extent the Biden administration is willing to go to try to make himself look better for the upcoming election, instead of actually doing stuff to make himself look better, like using a strategy that, sure, it might piss off some of your base, like your climate zealots that you have in your base. It might piss them off a little bit, but you know damn good and well that they're not going to vote for Trump, that just because you start drilling and selling leases to these oil companies to lower gas prices, they're not going to not vote for you, for God's sakes. So why not do that? And then you might gain some favor with Republicans. I doubt it, but it's like all this political BS going back and forth with Biden. It's getting outright ridiculous, all this purchasing of votes, if you will. And we can clearly see that's what it's for. Now, somebody being completely unbiased might say, oh, well, that's not what he's doing it for. Well, they say there's no coincidences in politics. Well, yeah, you think it's a coincidence that Joe Biden just so happens to be doing thing after thing after thing that makes it look like he's trying to purchase votes? Yeah, I don't buy it. That's not a coincidence. He's doing it on purpose, or at least the people around him are doing it on purpose to try to keep Donald Trump out of the White House. But, as in the next video, yeah, it's not gonna happen, y'all. Not gonna happen at all, right? Like, him stopping the sales of weapons going to Israel, that just pissed everybody off, right? Like, he's still saying, oh, we got ironclad support for Israel, while his insane base over here, these college students that are pro-Palestine and pro-Hamas, they're just pissed off regardless. You're never going to appease these people, because you would actually have to go to war with Israel to appease these people, and I don't think anybody's going to allow for that. You definitely wouldn't get congressional approval, but hang on, Joe Biden doesn't care about congressional approval. He's proved that time and again when I'll just go around Congress and the Supreme Court to pay off student loan debt. Like, why is he so adamant about that student loan debt BS? I don't buy it. I don't want to pay for somebody else's mistake, right? Like, college, for the most part, is a scam. I've figured that out, right? Like, unless you're going to go to school to be a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, or something of that sort, that you actually need that training, that you can't get that training anywhere else, then sure, college is not a scam. It's a very good idea, right? But for the most part, a lot of people are going to college for useless degrees that they don't even use. That is the scam part. People try to tell these kids, you got to go to college. You're going to be much better off, right? And then they go to college and decide that what they went to college for, they don't want to do once they get out of college. They realize, oh, well, they don't like that, so they don't even pursue a career in what the hell they went to college for. And now they got this student loan debt that's just piling up and they can't pay it off. Right? That's not my mistake. I don't want to pay for that. And that's what Joe Biden is trying to force everybody to do, trying to force me, trying to force you to pay this off, because if Joe Biden's doing it, it's coming out of tax dollars, right? And we have so many other economic problems, so many other programs that need to be funded, like Social Security, for God's sakes. That's going to be dissolving by 2033, according to the CBO. But Does Joe Biden seem to care about that? No, but he sure will get up in front of a camera on a microphone and start railing against Republicans, talking about Republicans want to shut down Social Security. They just want to cut that out totally. It's a complete lie. It's complete BS. He knows it's BS, but Joe Biden doesn't care. He's going to lie his way to the top. Well, he's already lied his way to the top, and we have figured that part out a long time ago, or at least a lot of people have. But I think I've ran on for long enough about this. I want y'all to let me know what y'all think about all this down in the comment section. Does it aggravate you that he's taking more oil from the strategic preserves to lower gas costs? I mean, come on, dude. There's other means to do that. But like I said, let me know what you think. That's all I got for this one. I want to thank everybody for watching, and y'all try to have a good day and stay legitical. Peace.